evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Today we are going over the Madolche deck profile. This deck is just really interesting to play, but I know you guys are like, why are you doing a deck profile instead of, a normal deck profile, high rarity, YOLO swag the Cali Effect normally does. Shout out to Eric Cunningham. He actually bought the deck. I want to say like the day after that I did the Dev Pro duel of Madolche. So, he's that type of jerk. He was like, I don't want anybody to see high rarity, YOLO swag Madolches. I just want Madolche. So he took it and, now we're here. But down to the Madolche deck, there's a lot of different things that I'm playing in here, and it was really just because of Cross Souls, but I've become accustomed to them, and I actually like them as cards, but we can always talk about that later. Let's get down into what cards that I play. I play 1 copy of Pudding Cess, 3 copy of Messenger Gelato, 3 copy of Madolche Magically, 3 copy of Madolche Angeli, 3 copy of Hoot Cake, 3 copy of Mufili, and 2 copy of Maxi. That's going to sum up the monsters at about 18. There's a couple of things that I'm doing here different. I see a lot of people running 2 copies of Messenger Gelato. I do not like that. I see people running 2 copies of Mufili. I do not like that. I feel that Mufili is live for almost every single Madolche monster not named Mageline or Pudding Cess. Mufili into Angeli is your prime combo. Mufili into Hoot Cake with a card in the graveyard is a great combo. Hell, even Mufili into Messenger Gelato gets you one of your spell or trap cards to your hand. So I felt that maxing out on both Messenger Gelato and Mufili would be perfect, not only because Messenger Gelato is a primary target for almost everything, being an Earth Warrior, having the strongest attack in the deck, and just being a decent card. And if you were to run 2 and draw 1, then, a lot of your combos go out of the gate. And Mufili being able to special summon, a good portion of the deck, and for me, be able to get some type of huge effect. Maxi is in here over Effect Veiler. I mean, I feel like, first of all, this deck can dead hand. And so when my opponent does start to special summon, I would love to draw off of that. And not only that, it puts a monster in the graveyard for Madolche Hoot Cake to activate its effect. So if you really needed to activate Madolche Hoot Cake's effect, you could just discard the Maxi and hope that they have Gores, which they probably won't. But then, Hoot Cake finally has a target for you to finally go off if you really need it. The Pudding Cess is, like I said, a very interesting card. A card that I did decide to put in because of the Cross Soul set, and that's the reason why we actually got a Madolche Dev Pro duel, and it's something that could be furthermore explained. But the first thing I want to talk about Pudding Cess is it completely eliminates the need for me running cards like Mystical Space Typhoon or regular Monster Destruction. Why? Because Pudding Cess, when she battles, she destroys a card on the field, and I did not know how amazing that was until Pudding Cess started putting in work. Now, granted, it's 1,000 attack. It does gain 800 if you have no other monsters in your graveyard, I believe. Yeah, while you have no other monsters, period, in your graveyard, it gains 800 attack. So that's not really that good. You gotta get like any between 1,000 to 2,300 beater with Chateau on the field. But then its battle effect is just that good. It can't really be ignored. It's a fairy that only makes it even better. We'll talk about all of that later, though. For spells, we're gonna run 3 copies of Instant Fusion, Raigeki, Book of Moon, 2 copies of Forbidden Lance, 2 copies of Madolche Ticket, and 2 copies of Chateau. Now, I see a lot of people running 2 Chateau, 1 Ticket, but I really wanted to see Ticket because I want to abuse that second effect of Ticket. If you guys do not know the second effect, it says if you control a fairy type monster, I can special summon the monster from my deck and face up attack position instead of adding it to my hand. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, I have 4 fairy targets in my deck. That I don't know if Angeli would ever be on the field at any given time. Normally she's summoned and she's gone, but Pudding Cess will. And it just abuses so many good combos. Like if I need an extra monster to provide an OTK and Pudding Cess is on the field, Ticket will allow me to get that extra summon. There's also a couple of Xseed monsters in here, a main Xseed monster, the reason why I'm playing Pudding Cess in here, that allows me to just go really crazy with Ticket. The 3 copies of Instant Fusion, I see a lot of people running a TG engine. I see a lot of people running the Psychic engine. I see a lot of people running double summons and stuff like that. I felt that with the new card that we received in Cross Souls, Instant Fusion is the #1 card to be playing in this deck. Now, granted, the next TCG blind list that should be coming out in about a couple weeks will probably put Instant Fusion at 1, making this deck completely useless. But until then, I feel like Instant Fusion is the best card in here because it fits every single role that you want. You want an Invoker? Hey, Instant Fusion for a level 4, for a level 3. You want to make a quick rank 4 play and don't have the Madolche Hoot Cake or whatever combo? instant fusion into a Carbanola Warrior, and then XC summon. You want to make Madolche putting Cess tier a la mode, you instant fusion into Cybersaurus, and then you keep going on your way. It's just really good in that aspect. I felt that it brought so much synergy to the deck, and it brought so much to the table to let the deck just be what it wanted to be. If we do get noted in instant fusion at 3, obviously Carbanola Warrior is not required, so, or, you know, it's the only Earth fusion monster that's not really required, so you can drop the Carbanola Warrior for Noden and then just be on your merry day. I don't think you'll ever be able to use Noden effect, but you know, that's there. Another thing we can talk about is the 2 copies of Forbidden Lance. Forbidden Lance is I feel like it's really needed in the Madolches for 2 reasons. First of all, Mystical Space Typhoon isn't bad, but it's just not needed. Mystical Space Typhoon asks you for permission to activate your card effects, while Forbidden Lance really asks for forgiveness after opponent Torrentials, Bottomless, etc., etc., Mirror Force, and all that other stuff. It completely makes your monster immune, so you can continue on with your combo. Not only that, if worst push comes to shove and you don't play against a deck that, you know, doesn't play any background, it's an 800 attack modifier during the damage step. So I mean, that's something to look at too. Forbidden Lance is just that good of a card. I've seen a lot of Necros decks actually use Forbidden Lance, and I applaud them for it, because it's a really underrated card in this format, because you do go against a lot of if they're not tier 1, more often than not you're going against a deck with a lot of back row if they're prepared for meta matchups. So Forbidden Lance is that card if you ask me right now. Pokemon and Raigeki are pretty much self-explanatory, but let's get on to the traps. We're going to be running 2 copies of Mind Crush, 1 copy of Madolche Palooza, 2 Mirror Force, Torrential, double Trap Stun, double Breakthrough, and Solemn Warning. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was the Trap Stuns. The reason why I ran Trap Stuns was more so because of Dev Pro, but if you're going to like a local level event, I would actually encourage you to use Trap Stun, just because of the insane amount of back row that everybody except for tier 1 decks play. And even in certain tier 1 decks such as Shadow, well, I wouldn't really consider Shadow tier 1, but even in Shadow, your opponent runs cards like Mistake and stuff, and that could hinder your strategy, so a Trap Stun might be needed. I mean, you know, it's not all that dead in game 1. Against Cleeford, you'll probably have a field day with Trap Stun, negating their lose 1 turns, and then being able to play the way you play, and just reset everything Cleeford has. So Trap Stun does have quite a few uses in the deck. It's a pretty good card, as long as you're not playing against Necros. So if you're going to a local level event, I really urge you probably to play Trap Stun, just because it's really good in that aspect. You guys should already know why Mind Crusher good. Madolche Palooza, I actually wanted to run 2, but I never really needed more than 1. I just love the way the card is. I love the artwork. I love the effect. Torrential was a very interesting card. When Madolches first came out, a friend of mine, D'Angelo, he freaking loves Madolches. He kept on raving about how good Torrential Tribute is in this deck. Now, the reason why he raves about it is because you can finally put a monster in your graveyard when you want to on your opponent's turn. So not only do you get to disrupt your opponent's strategy by Torrential Tributing their huge board, which is really good against Necros, so, you know, that's there. It also allows you to put a Madolche monster in the graveyard to use for Who Cakes effect, you know, push come to shove. I mean, we're not going to always have Angeli, so you might want to be prepared for that. The 2 breakthrough skills are obvious, and then the Solemn Warning. I mean, I just feel like this card is should really gain popularity. It's an amazing card, this format. For extra deck, somebody pointed out that I should run Pandra Dragon. Unfortunately, in this deck, you cannot. You need an Earth monster to make the tier a la mode, so Cybersaurus is there. Carbanola Warrior, which would be Noden when it comes out. Fusionist, I just like to keep it Earth. I mean, I don't think it really matters. But, I mean, if you wanted to run Soul and Silver Mountain, then Fusionist is there. 2 copies of T a la mode, Pudding Says T a la mode. 2 copies of Tiramisu, Honor Arc, Heartland Draco, Castell, Dweller, Cowboy, 2 Leviair, and Invoker. Now, this, I mean, I feel is a really solid lineup. I'm actually torn between dropping the Madolche Pudding Says T a la mode to 1, but, I mean, hey, you can still overlay it with Tiramisu, and its effect is really, really interesting. If you put a card back to your deck when Madolche Ticket is on the field, you basically get a free special summon because she's a fairy and she will trigger Ticket's effect. I think that's something that everybody neglects to mention, is that while she's on the field, she instantly triggers your tickets. Now, I'm really, really sketchy in her effect, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Once per turn, you can target one Madolche card in your graveyard, shuffle it to the deck. While this card has a Madolche Pudding Cesses material, when a Madolche monster is in your graveyard and shuffle it to the deck, you can detach one material and special summon one monster. So basically, if you put a card back into your deck with Madolche Ticket and putting sets as targets, you basically get to special summon 2 monsters. So that's pretty much, you're gonna OTK your opponent. It's really not much else after that. You are going to OTK your opponent. You're gonna put insane amount of damage and feel presence on the board. I mean, every single time that I did make it when I was playing on Dev Pro, I wish I could have played it in real life, but I couldn't, obviously. But every single time I played it, it was a 3K beater that put at least 1 monster on the board. And I really can't explain how good that is. That's just extremely good, especially with Ticket. Keep in mind that putting sets also isn't that hard to summon. When I was first playing it, I was like, why the hell am I playing this? Giant Rat. I mean, I'd have to play cards like Giant Rat, and that's pretty bad. But Hoot Cake can summon it. Angelique can summon it. And then after Angelique and Hoot Cake summon it, you're just an instant fusion away from completely annihilating your opponent board. So, I mean, there's that. It just brings another dimension of, you know, summon, make tiramisu, if you ask me. The 2 Leviair, I mean, if you're a Madolche player, you should already know, recursing Angelique, and the Invoker for the Messenger Lotto play. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching in this segment of the Cali Effect. This is a Madolche deck I felt that I was pretty comfortable playing. There are a lot of changes that could be made. Hell, you can completely drop my logic of running the new support. I actually really liked it. It gave another dimension, but I mean, no matter what, Madolche is not going to be tier 1. So I was like, might as well just play the next dimension and see how that worked out, which worked really good. But you guys could obviously, you know, change the deck to however you see fit. I've always said that, or I've always meant to say that. But like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.